Welcome back to another episode of Plant-Based Dads. I'm Joey. We are a vegan, mostly whole foods cooking channel. There's some product reviews. Sometimes there's some episodes with Tim. If you like what you hear so far, please hit that like button. Show us some love. Please think about subscribing and becoming part of the Plant-Based Dads family. We do have a Patreon page set up. Our patrons are our monthly supporters that help us put the show together and get the plant-based message out to the public. If you've ever seen the show, or if you're in the Facebook group and you've thought, how can I help? How can I be part of this? That's how you can help. You can become a financial supporter either monthly with Patreon or one time with PayPal. There'll be a link to PayPal and Patreon in the description below this video. We'd love to have you on the team, but we can absolutely use your help. All right, so today I'm going to talk about my story. I've talked about this a few years ago and how I wound up becoming a vegan, a plant-based eater, all that stuff. It wasn't what I was expecting. I did not set out to do this, and it was just kind of just a set of circumstances that happened that caused this to come to effect. So it all starts back when I first met Tim, back in 2004. We were dating, and he works at the hospital, and there was this doctor's party for Christmas. So Tim got invited to that, and I went with him. So we're at this party, and up until this point, I am a happy-go-lucky meat eater. Now, I never really ate fish. I just hated the smell of it, and I wasn't a big beef eater. I never ate burgers, but the thing I loved was chicken. So, I would get chicken sandwiches everywhere. I loved McDonald's chicken sandwiches. I loved Burger King's chicken nuggets. Anywhere we went, I got a Hawaiian chicken sandwich. It was just always chicken, right? And turkey, I loved turkey at Thanksgiving. Pork was fine. I really liked the white meat, but I was not a fan of red meat. Now, occasionally I would have had spare ribs, and occasionally if the burger was the option, I would get it, but it was never something where I would get it a second time because it was so good. It was just about chicken, and I had no intention of changing anything. It was not something where I was one day I want to give this up and be a vegetarian. I had complete ignorance on how this all came to be and how food got to my table or to my restaurant or to my plate. I never thought about it, and it wasn't something that interested me in any way. So we're at this doctor's party, and we meet this girl, Judy. Now, Judy's heard me say this story a few times, and she knows who she is, and she watches the channel. So I'm Tim's Tim is talking with the medical professional. If you're married to someone who's in the medical field, or if you're dating someone who's in the medical field, the minute they connect with medical people, like hospital people, it's over, right? They're in that conversation for hours, and they're doing their thing, and I've just learned to stay out of it, right? So I'm basically hanging out with the wives, okay? Or the secretaries or whatever. So it's me, and a bunch of women, and we're all just kind of chit-chat and talking about, life in general. And I met this girl, Judy, and Judy and I were talking, and Judy was a vegetarian. Now, I, had an hour-long conversation with her and with the other ladies there too. It wasn't just with her. And I don't remember saying anything other than, at the time when I was working out with my friend Tyson, he was a vegetarian also. So I could have possibly said, hey, my workout partner's a vegetarian, That's it. I would never have said, I wanted to be a vegetarian, but I can't give up cheese. I wouldn't have said anything like that because I did not want to be a vegetarian. I didn't want to be anything than I was, which was a happy-go-lucky meat eater. But something I said to Judy triggered her. And she didn't say anything then. But what happened was that party ended, and it was really nice, right? And maybe a week went by, and Tim comes home from work, and he says, oh, hey, Judy sent me home with this paper for you. And I was like, Judy who? Right? And he's like, Judy from the Christmas party. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of barely remember her. I remember talking to her because I was only talking to about 7 or 8 ladies, but it wasn't something I thought about afterwards. What an interesting conversation or anything like that. And when I think back, she didn't even try and, tell me the benefits of being a vegetarian. She wasn't trying to convert me, but I don't know what I said to her, but something made her think that maybe there was something in me that, needed to know. So she sent me this paper, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, tell her thank you. And, I put it on the counter or something. I don't know. And then a few days go by, and I was going to use the restroom. I grabbed that paper, and I sat in the restroom doing my business and on the toilet, I'm reading this paper. And it was a pamphlet, an article from PETA. And, you know, I had in my mind, I've heard of PETA before, and it sounded like a cult organization from what I heard. And, you know, the typical one-track, one-sided, biased interpretation of that a lot of meat eaters get about stuff like this based on, you know, the companies that are trying to keep them like brainwashed. So I read this pamphlet, and in this pamphlet, I don't want to go into details. Again, it's not my intention to convert you. I'm just telling you my story. In this pamphlet, the best way I can say this without getting graphic is it talked about what happened to pigs. It was all about pigs. And I guess pigs are in cages where they can't turn around. They're just standing up the whole time they're in their cage. And they can't move, right? And they're on the bottom of the cage is all wired and all that. It's a cage, and their hoofs become all like mangled, and it's very painful, and they have to just live like that. And the article talked about how 75% of them went insane before they were ever slaughtered, right? And I was reading this, and it went on to talk about how they were handled and what happens to them, and how pigs are so much smarter than our domestic animals. They're much smarter than dogs, right? And how, you know, how we treat dogs like domestic animals, we domesticated them, but pigs are much smarter, and we slaughter them to eat them, and how it doesn't, you know, why is it okay for one species and not the other? And it just, there was all these points. Now, you know, it's really rough for me to learn something and forget it. Once I have the knowledge, I can't undo it, right? So I read this, and I just kept saying, there's no way that this is true. Like, there's just no way. Like, we don't do that to these animals, right? I don't know. I guess I thought they had some wonderful life in the field, running and frolicking, and then at some point, you know, they die of old age, and then we go, okay, well, let's slaughter them, and, you know, we'll put them on the shelf at Safeway, right? Like, I thought maybe that's how it worked. I mean, I know that sounds so stupid, but I had no idea, and I'm guessing that a lot of your friends think the same way. Like, they do, right? So I immediately got on the internet and started looking all this up, trying to figure out, like, I wanted to disprove this. Like, I did not want it to be true. And of course, I was not able to disprove it. All I could do was find evidence of how true it was. So I basically right there, right, when Tim came home, I told him what happened. I said, I'm a vegetarian now. Like, I can't go back to this. There's no way that I can be part of this. I can't know what I know and continue to do what I'm doing. So he was like, what are you talking about? And I explained, like, here's what happened. I talked to Judy. Judy's a vegetarian, right? He goes, yes. And I go, she sent me home this pamphlet. I read it. I'm horrified. I can't be part of this anymore. Like, I'm not trying to change you or anyone else, but I'm not doing this. Like, I just can't. And he was like, and I wouldn't even say I'm an animal lover, right? Like, I don't know. I never thought about it. But, and he was like, what did you say to her at the party? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't say anything about wanting to be a vegetarian, right? He's like, well, what did she say to you? And I said, we just did the chit chat that, you know, I did with all the wives. Like, I don't know, right? So he was like, how? And the funny part is, like, I hate vegetables, or I hated vegetables. He's like, you don't even like vegetables. Like, what are you going to eat? And I was like, I don't know. But here's what I'm not eating. I'm not eating animal. I'm not eating meat, right? I'm not having anything to do with meat. I can't do it. That's it. So, and that's what happened. So starting in 2005, right? Right around 2006, right? Right before Lexx was born, right? Late 2005, early 2006, I made the switch. That's when this all happened. I had no plan, right? Now, when Tim and I were dating earlier on, we were both in really good physical shape, right? Like, I didn't do this to lose weight or any of that stuff. In fact, when I became a vegetarian, for the next 12 years, I gained 50 pounds. And it's interesting because vegetarians eat like the worst of both diets. They're on the meat side eating the cheese and the milk, right? Which is where all the fat is, right? And then they're on the vegan side eating the nuts and the seeds, which is where all the fat is, right? And they're just kind of getting the worst of both diets. And I was living proof, and I am still struggling with that vegetarian weight from 12 years. So 12 years goes by, right? And I'm eating vegetarian, and I'm pretty happy doing that. Like, I still had pizza. I could still put cheese on everything. I could still have veggie burgers. I don't know if you're aware of this, but even before, like 12 years ago, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, you could walk into a Burger King and go look at any of the menu items and see the Whopper and go, I'll have the veggie Whopper. I'll have the veggie double cheeseburger. I'll have the veggie whatever. And at no point would they question you. They'll just be like, did you want fries with that? Right? Burger King has had a vegetarian option for the whole time I was a vegetarian, which was back in 2004. And nobody knows that because it's not on the menu unless you're a vegetarian. So they've always had vegetarian patties. Now they've got the Impossible Patty, right, which is vegan. But that whole time, if I wanted a burger, I would go into Burger King. And I never wanted a burger, right? So that wasn't a big deal. But luckily, Taco Bell, their beans are vegetarian. There's no lard in their beans. And they've been vegetarian the whole time. So my fast food for 14 years was Taco Bell. It was all I could eat. I couldn't go anywhere else. So I hadn't had McDonald's in almost 15, 16 years now, right? Up until, I want to say the same thing about Burger King, but I did try the Burger King Impossible Whopper. McDonald's still doesn't have anything like that. And I didn't miss any of that, right? So now, of course, you really can go anywhere here in Phoenix and get a vegan meal, right? It's not going to be healthy. It'll be full of fat. I mean, it'll be all the stuff that's killing people. But at the same time, I'm not doing any harm to animals. So, I became a vegan for ethical reasons. Now, I have this plant-based cooking show because in 2018, I went to the doctor, and my plant-based doctor told me that you are pre-diabetic. I was like, I haven't eaten meat at the time in 12 years. How can I be pre-diabetic? Like, where am I getting my fat from? He's like, are you eating cheese? Yes. Are you drinking milk? Yes. Are you eating a lot of nuts and seeds and avocado? Oh yeah, right? There you go. And I was like, holy smoke. Like I have to stop doing that. So I decided I needed to give up milk and cheese. And then after finding what happens in egg farms to the male chicks and all that stuff, like I knew that. And the other thing was that I thought, okay, I'm a vegetarian. The milk isn't hurting the cow, right? Well, I mean, it's not hurting the cow, but the milk is being given to me to put on the shelf, right? Not to the calf, right? And the calf is slaughtered for veal. So while it's not hurting the cow, right, it is separating the calf from their mom, and the calf is being slaughtered. And, the cow winds up being pregnant its whole life. Like, it's artificially inseminated and, birth after birth after birth, right? So it's constant, because it's a mammal. It can only give milk when it's pregnant or has just given birth during that whole period. So, I just, again, even as a vegetarian, I started realizing much later, it took me 12 years, that I'm still not helping the animals, right? I'm still causing pain to the cows. I'm still causing pain to the baby chicks. Like, I'm not helping the animals, right? I'm doing a little bit, but not enough. So in 2018, after the diagnosis with prediabetes, and realizing what was happening as a vegetarian, I made the decision to become a vegan. I was switching over to being a plant-based eater. Now, I decided at that time that I was going to do this video channel. So Plant-Based Dads has been around for 2018, but it really didn't kick in until 2020 during COVID, when I started cooking at home a lot more. And that's kind of when I hit the starch solution also. The starch solution allowed me to eat some of my favorite vegetables, right? And just do away with thinking that I had to have a fake protein or fake meat at every meal with my vegetables. It changed my way of thinking. Now, people will often say, oh, I didn't realize you're an ethical vegan. Oh, what's the difference between a vegan and a plant-based eater, right? Or someone who's just plant-based. So here's the difference, right? And I'll explain it to you really simple, right? When, we eat at home, I make vegan meals. Tim's a vegan, Lexx is a vegan at home, right? They eat vegan meals. If Tim's out at a restaurant, he chooses a vegan option. We eat vegan meals, right? When we go to 2 years ago, we put a movie screen in in one of our bedrooms. We made a movie room out of it, and I got a video right here if you want to check that out, our movie screen video. And we bought a movie couch for the movie room. We're setting up our movie room, and we wanted a sofa there, a recliner, or something that had seat cup holders in, so we can sit there and watch movies on our new big screen with our projector and have the movie experience, because it was COVID and we weren't going to movies. And we love movies. So we created this movie room, and we're like, let's go get a couch. So we Tim and Lexx went to the sofa store and found this sofa, right? And they were like, this is it, right? We got to show this to you. We're really excited. We're going to buy it. Let's go. We want you to see it. And I was like, great. I can't wait to see it. We walk in the store, and the guy's like, oh, Tim and Lexx, welcome back. Come on over here. I'm going to show you guys. I'll show your whole family where this is. And we walked up to the sofa, and Lexx and Tim were standing there, and they couldn't wait to show me. And the very first thing I said was, what is this made of? And right there, the two of them were just like, oh no, we're not getting this, right? There's the difference right there. A plant-based eater is eating plants. A vegan is not having anything to do with taking animal products in any way. I knew I knew that thing was gonna be made of leather just by looking at it, and I can smell it. And he's like, this is the finest Italian leather, blah, blah, blah. And it was over, and the boys knew it. So I just said, hey, can you show us something in this style similar to this that's not made of leather? And he was like, oh yeah, I've got some imitation leather right here. There's no animal products here. And he brought us to something else, which was very similar, and we wound up buying it. And all we had to do was ask, right? But a vegan, someone who's thinking about that lifestyle all the time, that's what they're thinking about. They're doing this not for the food, for the diet. They're doing this because they want to cause as little harm or damage to the animals and the environment around us as possible. And I know by buying that leather couch, I would have contributed to that sale, causing the manufacturer to be like, oh, we're selling our product, let's make more, versus buying the product that wasn't leather, right? Now, that doesn't make me, any more important or different or better than you. It just makes me, for me, I'm conscious of this. I'm totally happy with Tim not eating meat because it's a diet, right? I'm totally happy with Lexx only eating plant-based at home, but if he's out with his friends, he may have a pizza, right? That's fine with me. That's their decision. I'm not trying to push anything on them or you. The animals, in the end, don't really care why you're not eating them. They don't care that Tim's a plant-based eater and not a full vegan. They don't care that Lexx is a vegetarian. They just care that you don't eat them. So for me, it's a win-win all the way around. So now, it's 15 years since this all started. And, when I go I went for my checkup recently, not that long ago, and all of my numbers are in line. The pre-diabetes went away. I gave up. I started the Starch Solution. I did a high-carb, low-fat way of eating. And all of that is back to normal. So I never did get diabetes, right? I also, I learned a lot in this. I mean, I've learned so much every day, right? How diabetes is a disease about fat, not about sugar. How the fat in your cells is causing the sugar not to get in. So the sugar is floating around your body, and now you've got too much sugar. It really isn't about the sugar. It's about the fat in your cells. So, that was a big education, as well as how carbohydrates, I'm studying biology now for my degree, but how carbohydrates are the energy that we all use every day just to survive. So, all those crazy low carb diets, like without carbohydrates, we don't exist, right? There's so much information, and there's a lot to learn, but, that's my story. That's where I came from. That's how I came to be. That's why I'm a plant-based eater. That's why I'm a vegan. And it's why I share all of this with you. I share the food that I'm eating and the things that I'm doing to kind of get you to see that I can do this. You can do this, right? If you're interested in being more plant-based for health reasons, you want to have a lower fat diet, like I'm showing you that, right? I don't care if you're a vegan. I don't care if you're a meat eater. I eat all the meat you want. Just, if you're making some of my food, let me know if you liked it and if you're going to make it again, right? I would love for you to incorporate more vegetables, right? Just have a little less meat, have a lot more vegetables, right? That would make me happy too. Like I'm not trying to convert you or anyone else. All right, I've kind of rant and raved a little bit, but I wanted you to know more about where I came from and why this is happening. Next week, I'm going to have another video similar to this, but we're going to be talking about something that'll probably shock you a little bit. And I'll get to that, and it's going to affect the summer and future videos coming out for a few weeks. I also may have some other news about teaching too. So right now everything's on the DL, but I'm hoping to have a lot to share with you. But there'll definitely be a video next week like this about something I want to share. Until then, you're just going to have to wait patiently until I get back to you. All right, guys, that's our video for today. Please hit that like button. Show us some love. What's not to like? If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button, and you'll get notified every time we have a new video, usually every Monday. And please, leave a comment below. Are you vegan? Are you a vegetarian? How did you wind up being vegan? If you're a vegan or a vegetarian, like, that's amazing. I don't care why you are. It's fine with me. If you're not a vegan, but you love making plant-based recipes, I love you, right? Keep going, right? Like, no one of my families, extended families, are vegan, but they love my recipes, or they love, I don't know that they love my recipes. They love me showing them how they can adapt recipes, which is what I'm trying to do, so they can eat more vegetables. I love that, right? Eat more vegetables. It isn't about labels, right? I don't care how vegan you are. Eat more vegetables, right? Leave a comment, tell me all these things. I love to hear them. The summer's coming, I'll be done teaching in 7 days, right? And I'll be able to start answering every comment again. I know I haven't been able to do that. It's just been really rough. Full-time YouTube channel, full-time teaching, full-time managing my household with 2 other guys who can't pick up after themselves. Sorry, Tim's mom and grandma, Lexx's grandma, but that's what's happening, right? I've got a lot going on, but I'll be and college, right? Full-time college student. But I'll be dropping the job for the summer because I'm a teacher, so I should have more time to answer comments. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.